This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live. It's a freaking Wednesday. Tones, I'm pretty certain there were two of you here last night. Not only did you show up, there were two of you. And you guys were arguing back and forth. It was weird. Or was I too high for last night? Politically, good evening, Warlord. I really should be paying attention to what's going on in Africa, but like we're all like Trump, 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 Trump over here in America. So sorry. Maybe on Sunday night we'll go into detail on what the fuck's going on in Africa, because it ain't good. What's going on in Haiti, because it ain't good. PP Girl, good evening. There will be no stream tomorrow night. No stream tomorrow night. Stream starts at 2:30 tomorrow afternoon. We will be doing Trump arraignment tomorrow afternoon, and then we'll find out a little bit of what that news be doing afterwards. Warlord approves. Oh shit. So Warlord too quick to pull out a fuck you on me. We covered the initial we covered the initial coup in Niger. That's the night I called it Niger. No, I called it how did I fuck it? I said it really redneck. Yeah, I said Niger and it's Niger or some shit like that. Fucked it up. But I think it's Niger. Niger. DJ Tub, good evening. Nix, good evening. Warlord's like, just say the N-word. Kick thought I was trying to say the N-word, which I thought was wild. Of all the platforms, when I had Niger in the title. Every other platform it was okay. On Kick, it showed up as profanity. Oh, I see what you're saying, Tones. Here is your meme for the day. Thank you, sir. May I have another? Indictments. Kick wanted me to add the other G. That was the problem. It was like, sir, did you mean to add another G? Good thinking, BB girl. Good thing. Cancel me for what this time? What'd I do? Oh, it's beanie time. You might have noticed the beanie on my head. Tim Pool says that we are in a civil war. That makes sense. I'm glad PP girl is onto something for sure.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
Oh my god, it's the first time that we've had a Jordan Peterson video in a while. We're gonna watch Jordan Peterson. He's gonna tell Bill Maher turns women on. I said that to Sparkles and she laughed her ass off. I was like, no, I'm not even joking. I'm not even fucking joking. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I had to cancel. There's Sparkles. Good evening. The Civil War beanie. She came because I told her about Jordan Peterson. I was like, be sure to tune into the stream tonight, because Jordan Peterson is going to tell us what turns women on. Oh, god damn. Notice that it is 3 minutes and 58 seconds. Because, like, I'm actually amazed he's that informed on the topic. Jordan Peterson, tell us what turns women on. Fucking Richard Dawkins is a transphobic piece of shit. So we're gonna watch Richard Dawkins be a transphobic piece of shit. We're gonna dunk on him, and then we're gonna go back to not thinking about Richard Dawkins for another decade. I read the God Gene or the God Delusion. Like, he wrote both of those, right? I think it might have been the God Delusion. The God Gene. I don't fucking know. That was like a whole other lifetime ago. That was 15, 17 years ago when somebody actually gave a shit what Richard Dawkins had to say. Hank Uger went on with Patrick Bet-David. God, I hate that dude. Ever since Sam went on with him, I get suggestions for his videos, and like Neil deGrasse Tyson was on there. And I watched a clip of Neil deGrasse Tyson trying to explain something incredibly simple. Like, he was dumbing it down for the dude. And the dude was still, like, not getting it. And, like, right-wingers are morons. That's all I got. That Patrick Bet-David is a stupid motherfucker. Dawkins is still alive. Meat cakes, good evening. Dawkins is still alive. You're going to see his feebled old ass get wheeled out for a podcast. He has a podcast. Took him until August of 2023 to launch it. He's really on top of things, on the cutting edge. That old Richard Dawkins. We might get some new entertainment produced soon. Hollywood meeting with the heads of the Writers Guild and SAG-AFTRA. Meeting is set to take place on Friday. We got two different mass shooters. Not actual mass shootings. The sentencing of the Life Church, was that the name of it? The synagogue in Pittsburgh. We also have testimony wrapping up in the. I don't want to say it's a trial. It's a sentencing hearing or something for the Oxford shooter. I do believe he's pled guilty, and this is just to decide the sentence. Got testimony from one of the students who fled. Also, I think we're going to hear from a psychologist. Young man's mindset. Students in Tennessee are being punished. Debt, which shouldn't be a fucking. How can students in school have debt? School lunch debt. Apparently, the meals that they're being subjected to are worse than prison food. White cop crying racism after he lost out on a job to another white cop. I cannot wait to read this one. This happened in St. Louis. Vince McMahon, apparently a couple weeks ago, was searched by the feds. A subpoena was issued. No charges as of yet, but WWE announcing, it isn't even WWE, it's whatever God, I forget what it's called now. Whatever the parent company of UFC, WWE, now that they've merged is. They have issued a statement that Vince McMahon is now on a medical leave. Rudy Giuliani is apparently a co-conspirator of Donald Trump in the conspiracy to overturn the 2020 election. Also, Rudy Giuliani is a tit man. Rudy Giuliani is a tit man.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
All of you wanted to hear about Rudy Giuliani's sexual proclivities tonight.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Nobody wanted to hear about Rudy Giuliani's sexual proclivities tonight, but we gonna. Fox News once called this dude a federal agent. We went over this story when it happened. God, it's been forever. I was at the old apartment. Dude dresses up in face paint and goes to like St. Louis baseball games, I think it's St. Louis. Been arrested in connection to January 6th. Speaking of January 6th, Snicks. QAnon shaman says that Trump doesn't deserve to be indicted whatsoever. QAnon shaman gave a nice lengthy interview. Nation. People doesn't know what a civil war is. Fox News. In hours of the indictment the other day, they were actually courting Trump to be at the GOP debate. Getting indicted again, let's make sure he's in the fucking debate. That's ratings. That more tonight. Patrol live. I'm sorry, clinically. It's not my fault that Rudy is a tit guy, and that information came out in legal documents earlier today, and that because I am a warped son of a bitch that does a show with a troll head, we explore the most fucked up shit the news and the internet has to offer. I talk about Rudy Giuliani's love of breastises. I'm more of an ass man myself.
Life is too short to walk this earth for a crusty asshole. Wash your ass.
Wash your ass, cause I'm gonna wanna eat it. Sorry, that's probably way too much information. These nuts. Good evening. Balls. You know what we do with balls around here? We kick authority in the balls.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
I love his face. Face changes when he gets his balls smacked. Not high enough. I'm gonna fucking. This ain't doing it. This ain't fucking doing it. Libertad. My friend. Libertad is a scat man himself. I guess it makes you an ass man as well. All right. That's where they keep their poop. Raymond, go roll clinically another joint. Want me to do dabs? Like, I'd have to get dabs set up. I had like 2 different half grams. I've smoked the 1.5 gram, but I got a whole nother half. I need to get work done after the stream, so probably shouldn't smoke dabs, because if I smoke dabs, probably end up on the couch after the stream. Fergozen's cock has spherical steel implants. Maynard's in there yelling. I guess Maynard wants me to do a fucking dab. Everybody's wanting a dab. I found the bag that it came in, and it had the name of it. Melon. Or some shit like that. I don't know why, but they put me the fuck out. Like, I don't even remember last night. I didn't even do like dabs. It was whatever was like the residue of that jar that I just showed you. Finished off. I mean, it was a good little bit, but not the amount that I would usually hit. Like, you know, half of a fucking dab. Put me out. Like, PlayStation had gone to sleep, TV had gone to sleep. I'm like, on the couch. Yeah, I need to watch. I need to make dabs just a very once every few weeks thing. Special occasions kind of thing, because I will build up my tolerance fast. I already fucking sit here and take bong rips of fucking top shelf fucking shit. That's a thing. Jones, you were here last night, right? You watched the rocket launch with us. Both of you watched the rocket launch. Starting off tonight, I guess it will be the panic on Capitol Hill earlier today. Apparently, there has been given. It was a false alarm.
After calls of an active shooter shut down the Senate office buildings just before 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Jim Lokay was on the scene when all of this was happening. Jim, thankfully, this did not turn out to be anything significant. No weapon found, no suspect was found. But what can you tell us as to what happened here?
At this hour, things are back to normal on Capitol Hill. I want to step out of the way because it's really one of the many epicenters of where this all went down after that call came in around 2:30. Traffic moving up and down First and Constitution here. This was all blocked off as part of that shutdown. It happened around 2:30 when police say they received what they believe to be a concerning 911 call from somewhere within the Russell Senate office building of a heavy-set Hispanic male in body armor. I want to show you a video from inside of the Russell Senate office building shot by one of our colleagues at Fox News during that evacuation, because the call came out from Capitol Police telling everybody inside the Capitol to evacuate. Hands up, get out. Police officers out there with guns drawn because they weren't quite sure if there was a threat. But as we learned during that press briefing that happened in just about the 4.
You say that, DJ Dub, but like Steve Scalise was shot during a congressional softball game, and he's still opposing any kind of gun control. So But I mean, fucking, they had a coup on the Capitol and they still support Donald Trump. Don't be so sure. Don't be so sure. When shootings happen, the conventional wisdom is that Republicans do nothing, but that's not true. They actually pass laws. They pass laws to loosen gun laws. It's insane.
4 o'clock hour, Capitol Police Chief Thomas Manger told everybody that this appeared to be a bogus 911 call, or at least a bogus report. They have not been able to get in contact with the person who made that 911 call. You would imagine that in a situation like this, that's going to be a top priority. But right around the time of that briefing, they gave the all clear, the roads reopened. And I have to tell you, behind me here on Constitution Avenue, I mean, it was at a shutdown for some time. But you're seeing as we get into that afternoon rush hour, things are moving around once again. We've seen a lot of cars coming down from Capitol Hill. It's almost like nothing ever happened here. But clearly, one thing that had been mentioned is the fact that this is all happening on the eve of former President Trump's federal indictment that's going to happen at the...
On the eve of Trump's indictment. Can we talk about how these dabs... Yeah, the other ones I got, because I had to go to a different place this time. The place I normally go to was shut down. Maynard is like fucking with my toe. Oh, that's his tail. He's like ass up against my foot, and that's his tail rubbing up against my toe. Yeah. It has taken... I've probably had him about 4 years. Sparkles, if you're here, does that sound right? I think 2019. About this time in 2019. Like end of July, August, that's when I got Maynard. So I've had about 4 years. And it's taken about 4 years for him. Like really affectionate with me. Like he hangs out with me and shit. Buddy now. And that wasn't always the case. He was kind of kept to himself. Oh, here's a Maynard. Here's a Maynard. Say hey to everybody, buddy. Yeah, that's my little dude. He was very much not impressed by that. Maynard James Kitten went back in there and started yelling. Oh, he's like my little Trump. Just goes and screeches about fucking nothing.
The federal courthouse here in D.C. mention is the fact that this is all happening on the eve of former President Trump's federal indictment that's going to happen at the federal courthouse here in D.C. just a couple of blocks away over at Judiciary Square. Chief Manger was asked if there was some concern that there may have been some correlation between the two. He said
for that.
There didn't seem to be an immediate connection there, however, cautioning that that Capitol Police are working with many other agencies because in D.C. you have so many agencies operating at any given time, so there is some coordination in response to that. And just out of the corner of my eye as I looked on Constitution Avenue here, there are a lot of satellite trucks, a lot of TV trucks that have been set up, and you would imagine in preparation not just for what we saw today, but more for what we will see tomorrow when the former president is here in Washington, D.C. Let's send it back to you in the studio.
Yeah, this is a tense political climate, so we are happy there was a swift response, but also glad there was some kind of resolution and everyone's safe. Jim, thanks.
I've got lighters that work, but this one, the butane lighter, works so much smoother. Doesn't have a lot of liquid left in it. I'm struggling over here. melon crusher. I don't really taste melon. Whatever the last one was I got was citrusy. And I definitely tasted it. It was like lemon something. Definitely tasted the citrus in it. Go ahead and, I'm riding high already. I love it. Go to Mike Pence and see what that motherfucker had to say about Donald Trump's indictment yesterday. Oh God. I already heard like the first sentence and I'm already laughing about it. Here's Mike Pence on what he thought about the Trump indictment yesterday.
By God's grace, I believe we did our duty that day. Fulfilled the oath that I'd taken to the Constitution and to the American people. And the Constitution is quite clear about the role of the Vice President in the counting of electoral votes.
You little bitch.
It says the Vice
That's
President
what the Constitution
presides over
says.
the joint session of Congress, where the electoral votes that are certified by the states shall be opened and shall be counted. And irrespective of the indictment, I want the American people to know that I had no right to overturn the election. And then on that day, President Trump asked me to put him over the Constitution. But I chose the Constitution, and I always will. I mean, I really do believe that anyone who puts himself over the Constitution should never be President of the United States. And anyone who asks someone else to put themselves over the Constitution should never be President of the United States again. I've been very forthright about this issue, and I'll continue to be. Now, with regard to the substance of the indictment, I've been very clear. I had hoped it wouldn't come to this. I had hoped that...
I'm still in absolute shit. Does this motherfucker really think he's going to be president? Like, he is campaigning in Iowa. Maybe this is New Hampshire. He's probably not. No. He's in Indianapolis. I'm sorry. He's not campaigning. He's been in Iowa. He's been in New Hampshire. He's trying to win, and he's not even polling. I don't even know if he's made the fucking debate. That's how pathetic he's doing. He thinks he's going to be president. Or does he have some other end game? Can you guys think of anything? Like, does he go back to being a radio host? Does he want to be on Fox? Like, what? Like, wouldn't he have already tried to make that move if that was the end game? What the fuck?
This issue and the judgment of the president's actions that day would be left to the American people. But now it's been brought in a criminal indictment, and I can't assess whether or not the government has the evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt what they assert in the indictment, and the president's entitled to a presumption of innocence. But for my part, I want people to know that I had no right to overturn the election, and that what the president maintained that day, and frankly has said over and over again over the last 2.5 years, is completely false. And it's contrary to what our Constitution and the laws of this country provide. You know, I'm a student of American history. The first time I heard in early December somebody suggest that as vice president I might be able to decide.
Nah, Trump hates him. He hates Trump.
I knew that it was false. Our founders had just won a war against a king. And the last thing they would have done was vest unilateral authority in any one.
There was rumbling that Trump was going to replace him in 2020. So who would he be VP for?
Person to decide who would be the next president. I dismissed it out of hand, but sadly the president was surrounded by a group of crackpot lawyers that kept telling him what his itching ears wanted to hear. And while I made my case to him of what I understood my oath of the Constitution to require, the president ultimately, continued to demand.
I'm glad that Clinically's cure for the brain rot is not to turn off my stream.
Of how this case
just smoke some more pot and laugh at it.
That I believe with all my heart that by God's grace I did my duty that day. And as I stand for the Republican nomination for president,
That's like the fucking fourth time he said that. Oh my God, I'm so bored with you. You're the most boring human on the planet.
and I want them to know, whatever it means to me, I'll always stand on the Constitution of the United States of America. Look, our country is more important than any one man. Our Constitution is more important than any one man's career. And that's true of me, and that's true of the president, former president of the United States. So we're going to stand on the facts, and we're going to stand by what happened that day, the stand that we took, and trust.
God damn, shut up. I can't take anymore. And he thinks he's going to be president. Christy Pence. Christy Pence. You know? If Christy actually had a shot, if Christy was polling any better than Mike Pence, that might actually work. So Fox News was like courting Donald Trump while he was getting indicted. Fox News execs pressed Trump on joining the first GOP debate, which we've got coming up in 21 days. Right here on the Troll Patrol Live, 21 days. Fox News execs pressed Trump on joining the first GOP debate during dinner after his latest indictment. Mr. Hannity was supposed to attend the dinner, but couldn't in the end as it conflicted with his 9 p.m. show. Former President Donald Trump reportedly had a private dinner with the top executives at Fox News, who tried to persuade him to participate in the first Republican primary debate, which is later this month. This was just hours after the former president faced his third indictment. The New York Times reported on the dinner, which was attended by the former president, Fox News President Jay Wallace, and CEO Suzanne Scott. Sean Hannity, who hosted a town hall with Mr. Trump last month, was also invited to join, but in the end couldn't make it, as he had to host his 9 p.m. show at the time of the dinner. The meeting transpired in a private dining room at Mr. Trump's Bedminster Golf Club. The 2-hour dinner, which was requested by the Fox team, according to the Times, was arranged before the indictment news broke. However, according to the publication, the leadership team pressed the former president to attend the debate, telling Mr. Trump that he had a great stage presence and that the debate would give him an opportunity to show that and his debate skills off, according to the outlet. Let's be clear, they just want the ratings that Trump will bring them, and I don't blame them on that. And to be honest, if you don't have the number one candidate in the race, by a long shot, he's like 50% up. Unlike any other fucking candidate, there ain't nobody fucking close. DeSantis polling at like 12% now. If you don't have Donald Trump, you don't have a fucking GOP debate. You have a bunch of people spouting nonsense, but they aren't really in the running now, are they? Mr. Trump, who is the current 2024 GOP frontrunner despite the 3 indictments against him, has repeatedly suggested that he won't participate in the first primary debate for just that reason. Reagan didn't do it. A lot of people didn't do it. When you have a big lead, you don't do it. Why would you be doing a debate? It's actually not fair. Why would you let someone that's polling at 0 or 1 or 2 or 3, be popping you with questions? Yet we will not be having a stream tomorrow night. Stream will be at 2:45 tomorrow afternoon as we watch Trump get indicted for a third time. The menage a Trump. And apparently we're going to be watching the Civil War. You guys notice that there is a Civil War going on? Podcaster Tim Pool, you notice I've got the beanie on. Podcaster ruthlessly mocked for declaring a civil war in the United States after Trump charges. Right-wing YouTuber Tim Pool received a bevy of scorching criticism and mockery after tweeting on Tuesday night an over-the-top reaction to former President Donald Trump being indicted on charges related to his efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Pool told his 1.7 million followers on Twitter, now known as X, "are in a civil war." Pool's surprise declaration, although perhaps not all that surprising, as the conspiratorial opinion host regularly hypes the coming civil war in the U.S., was in reaction to an NBC News tweet which read, "Breaking: former President Trump has been indicted by a federal grand jury investigating efforts to overturn the 2020 election." Pool's tweet declaring the Civil War has arrived received replies from sitting members of Congress like Representative Jared Mikowski, who responded, "You guys are the ones that still reenact losing." How dare you say there was an insurrection as I call for an insurrection? This dude might be a history teacher. Ooh, which one? I'm a bit partial to the English Civil War myself, but I'd take Russia in the 19-teens too, or even the Roman ones between Sulla, or Caesar and Pompey, or Augustus and Mark Antony. Nina Turner. Look, agree or disagree with the charges. This is not what a civil war is. Right-wingers. Kelly, good evening. Speaking of moronic right-wingers, the QAnon shaman thinks that Donald Trump did not deserve to be indicted whatsoever. Are you ready for the interview with Jacob Chansley, the QAnon shaman? I'm gonna have to pack another bong. I'm not high enough for this shit.
He's commonly known as the QAnon shaman. Jacob Chansley is joining us tonight to react to this indictment. Jacob, I don't know that you like that moniker, but just so people kind of have a reference point of, you know, who you are. We appreciate you coming on. I was reading up on your...
It's a pretty badass nickname, I think. The QAnon shaman. I'd lean into it, wouldn't you? Especially if he's gonna try to grift off of this shit.
Reaction, and you told Newsweek, if it's reported correctly, that you see this indictment as further proof of the weaponization of the Department of Justice. You've been prosecuted. You've become a symbol of unrest to millions of Americans, but you say Donald Trump had no role whatsoever. Do you still hold him blameless despite everything we've seen in writing and also your own experience?
Well, I've also become a symbol for freedom for billions around the world. So the millions that perceive me that way because of the Operation Mockingbird.
He's become a symbol for freedom for billions around the world. The guy is fucking delusional.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Is it wrong of news organizations to indulge him? I kind of feel like he might need help.
As a conservative, it's getting harder and harder to not look like a kook.
Is it wrong of me to mock him?
Well, I've also become a symbol for freedom for billions around the world. So the millions that perceive me that way because of the Operation Mockingbird media are welcome to do so. This is a free country, and I'd like to keep it that way. No, I don't think Trump deserves to be indicted whatsoever. The fact of the matter is he told people to peacefully go down to the Capitol. He offered 10 to 20,000 National Guard to guard the Capitol. Nancy Pelosi denied that. So I think that this indictment may come back to bite the powers that be in D.C., because now it gives an opportunity for Donald Trump and his attorneys to show everything that he attempted to do to secure the Capitol and ensure something like that didn't happen, when the woman that was in charge of Capitol security, Nancy Pelosi, as well as the head of the Capitol Police, virtually did nothing to secure the Capitol.
Can I make sure I got you right, though? I hear what you're saying there, but do you hold Donald Trump blameless entirely?
Well, I'll say this. There has still been a lot of questions that have not been answered by the federal government regarding whether or not there were agent provocateurs in the crowd. There has been a lot of speculation that the reason why the footage was not released to the public regarding January 6th was because there were literally hundreds of federal agents in the crowd. There were also a lot of BLM and Antifa provocateurs and infiltrators.
I got all that.
And none of them have been held responsible. So, no, I don't think that Donald Trump is responsible, especially considering he tried to do everything that he could possibly do to ensure the safety of those inside the Capitol.
Jacob, can I jump in here? You speak of agent provocateurs, footage that was not released to the public. Where are you getting this information from? If people are listening to what it is that you claim has happened and what transpired on January 6th, where does this information come from, and how are folks to believe what it is that you're saying?
Well, they don't have to per se believe what I'm saying. It, from what I understand, came from the mouth of a Capitol Police officer that was trying to secure the building and ensure the safety of the congressmen that were in the building, that they knew that there were federal agents in the crowd. And Antifa and BLM, there's a lot of people that have come out and spoken out openly on the internet that they willingly infiltrated the crowd and were egging people on to commit crimes. Some of them have done so boldly without prosecution. So is that indicative of a double standard or a two-tier justice system? I ask you that question.
So
should the federal government have to be accountable for the fact that they were behind a riot? I mean, this is something that normally happens. If you look into intelligence operations and infiltration instead of invasion, to quote Kennedy,
Jacob.
This has been happening for a long time. Just look into Operation Northwoods. Look into Operation Fast and Furious.
Can I ask about your case? Your case was extremely public. There's been a lot of prosecutions, but I mean, I remember I was sitting feet from here and I saw your picture come up on Twitter and I thought, something has really happened. You know, something has changed. This is a moment in American history. I mean, it's when I saw you standing at the dais, you know, where the presiding officer usually of the Senate is sitting. And so I hear what you're saying about, you know, there are these ideas that, you know, maybe people were cooperating with a federal agency and they were, you know, in this certain group and that who were there that day. I get all that. But in your case, your judge said you need to take unequivocated responsibility for your actions. Just like our parents always said, everyone can be doing whatever they want. You're in charge of you. Do you take responsibility?
Well, I pled guilty and I've served my sentence. So I've taken responsibility. The question is, when is the government going to be responsible for the countless times they have lied to the American public, whether it be weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, whether it be the $6 billion that's going to Ukraine that, you know, the Pentagon just lost, whether it be the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan, whether it be Operation Fast and Furious, whether it be the Tuskegee experiments, you know, Waco, Texas. I mean, the massive intelligence breaches during the 9/11 attacks. I mean, the fact of the matter is, I don't know about you, but I don't trust the government, and I don't think that our founders wanted us to trust the government. The only way that we can hold the government accountable for the crimes, the very real war crimes that people have committed in the past, and the very real crimes that are being covered up. I mean, just look at what happened with, you know.
Yet you trusted Donald Trump when he was the head of the government. You listen to yourself.
Oh, what's going on with Hunter Biden? I think that the only way that we're going to hold them accountable is by asking
Ben Diesel stole his look.
Demanding answers, and doing so through peaceful, nonviolent, non-cooperation with evil, We have to hold ourselves responsible as American citizens that we've allowed it to get this far. I mean, Kennedy was assassinated in broad daylight on live television, and it was quite clear that the narrative that we were given was completely bogus. And yet that's where this term conspiracy theorist comes from, was from the propaganda campaign pushed by the government and the media.
Jacob, let me break in real quick, because clearly we've gone through some of your involvement, your case. We have seen the indictment of the former president and co-conspirators.
I won't be bald no more.
For your part in what happened on January 6th, and you know, how do you see your role in all of this, kind of looking ahead, looking forward? You've mentioned you know, your thoughts on holding the government accountable and things of the like. Do you have any regrets here at all?
Well, I'll say this much. The Operation Mockingbird media chose to use my image to create a shock and awe campaign. They chose to make me a straw man by saying I call myself the QAnon shaman, which that's not true at all. And they...
Wait, what? I don't think any... What? I didn't think for a second that you called yourself the QAnon shaman. That was just what... Like, you were dubbed as, like... Probably on Twitter first, if I had to guess. Like, pictures started circulating, and people like, oh, the QAnon shaman. Like, I'm assuming that's where it came from. It was like a colloquial thing.
They chose to use my image to create this shock and awe.
He's hit all the bingo card of the conspiracies.
That was never my intention whatsoever. Everybody has regrets in life, but we can either allow our regrets to destroy us and hold us back from making progress.
And make sure that Dave watches this on Friday.
Emotional and mental beings, or we can learn from whatever it is that is in our past and allow it to turn us into better human beings. That is the path that I have chosen. Regret is far too heavy a burden to carry forward into the future. It's like putting sandbags on a hot air balloon. You're not going to ascend into the higher levels of spiritual development if you are weighed down with regrets. And were it not for the fact that I went to prison, were it not for the fact that I went through everything that I went through, I would not be the man that I am today. I chose to use my time wisely. I chose to invest it in self-improvement, not waste it feeling sorry for myself or regretting anything that I had done in the past.
Okay.
Yeah. Jacob Chanson, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you joining us and talking a bit about where you are right now in your life. We appreciate it.
I'm sure he has some crunchy views. He seems like a very, like, crunchy is like the granola people fall into like far-right conspiracy theories. Usually they're pretty progressive about things, but they're easy to fall into that right-wing rabbit hole, right? Doesn't sound like it made him a better human being. Well, he, at first, when he first came out, like, he was repentant. But now, like, the further removed we get, like, the more back into the, I guess he just got... I'm sure that everyone knows a little something about addiction. And when you go through a program, they tell you that, like, once you get clean, not to be around your old friends, because you'll just fall back into your old habits. And that's probably what he's done. He's fallen back into his old habits. I think that was a rather apt analogy. So he talked about agent provocateurs. That conspiracy theory. He actually mentioned that. So I'm glad he brought that up. January 6th rioter who Tucker Carlson guest said was a Fed has been arrested by the FBI. Rally Runner, an amateur mascot who runs around the St. Louis Cardinals Stadium, was charged in connection with the Capitol attack. I was correct that it was St. Louis, because like that's hard to forget. So we did this story a year or so ago, or whenever Tucker Carlson did the whole claim. We into this guy because he's apparently a local celebrity. A Donald Trump fan who participated in the January 6th attack and then was the subject of a conspiracy theory on Tucker Carlson's former Fox News show was arrested by the FBI on Wednesday. Rally Runner, formerly known as Daniel Donnelly Jr., was arrested in St. Louis, Missouri, according to court records. Runner faces 5 federal charges, including obstructing, impeding, and interfering with law enforcement officers during a civil disorder. He painted his face red and ran around outside of the St. Louis Cardinals Stadium. Runner. This was him at the Capitol on January 6th. Back in 2021, Joseph McBride, a lawyer who was then representing several January 6 defendants, said on Carlson's show that Runner was clearly a law enforcement officer and an agent provocateur who had only dressed up as a Trump fan as part of a scheme to make Trump fans look bad. In fact, Runner was a real Trump fan, as well as a St. Louis Cardinals fanatic. Ran around the stadium during home games, thus his name change. He was also a big admirer of Tucker Carlson and said in an interview last year that he was disappointed that Carlson would spread false information. Disappointed is an understatement, Runner said. For years, I believe Tucker was a responsible reporter focused on stopping fake news just to be a hit with this story. Pride, when first informed of Runner's real identity in late 2021, said he did not need to be right in everything he claimed, and that he was theorizing things and trying to win the public relations battle. If I'm wrong, so be it, bro. I don't care. I don't give a shit about being wrong. Yep, that sounds like a fucking right-winger. God damn it! Infuriating. There you can see Runner crowd amongst the January 6 rioters. Pride, who has since been dismissed by at least 3 January 6 defendants, did not respond to NBC News' request for comment. Carlson also did not respond to a request for comment. Runner said earlier this year that he hadn't heard from the FBI about his presence outside of the Capitol since his initial interview in early 2021. He did not go inside the building. I just went to stand up for Trump, Runner told NBC News, to run for him in America. There you can see another angle of him from a body camera shot. Himself had confirmed his participation in the Capitol riot in multiple videos on social media and in an interview. The FBI affidavit cites several of the videos that a reporter previously viewed. I wish they could feel embarrassment. QAnon shaman does not feel embarrassment. And once again, the fact that he doesn't just adopt it and run with it, I think it's a fucking cool ass thing. If you're gonna wear a goddamn, like, what, a boar's head, buffalo head, whatever the fuck it was, with a cape, big Q on it, I mean, lean into it, dude. All my social media would say QAnon shaman. That kind of brand recognition is priceless. Dumb as Elon Musk for giving that up. So, Rudy Giuliani.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
I want to do a little bit of reporting here. We can now confirm, to Jill Wine-Banks' point, there are 6 Unindicted co-conspirators here, unnamed as well. They're just called Conspirator 1 through Conspirator 6. NBC News can now confirm that co-conspirator, I should say, number 1 appears to be Rudy Giuliani, and they are described in this indictment as an attorney who was willing to spread knowingly false claims and pursue strategies that the defendant's 2020 re-election campaign attorneys would not. In the indictment, they tell several stories that do make it appear that it is Rudy Giuliani, including the story about the allegations that he made against Ruby Freeman and her daughter.
Without an indictment coming towards Rudy Giuliani, one would think that he has flipped.
Shay Moss, they spell those out in the indictment, which makes it pretty clear that this does appear to be Rudy Giuliani. Co-conspirator number 3, who is described in the indictment as well, is apparently Sidney Powell.
I wondered if her name would come back up.
Co-conspirator 3 is Sidney Powell. This person is described as an attorney whose unfounded claims of election fraud the defendant privately acknowledged to others sounded crazy. Nevertheless, the defendant embraced and publicly amplified co-conspirator 3's disinformation. That person appears to be Sidney Powell. Let me do a little bit more here. Mike Pence has issued a statement. And here it is. It says today's indictment serves as an important reminder.
Oh my God, there it is again.
The Constitution should never be president of the United States. I will have more to say about the government's case after reviewing the indictment. The former president is entitled to the presumption of innocence.
He kept saying the same thing over and over again when we watched the clip.
January 6th and more distractions. As Americans, his candidacy.
Joy, what the fuck?
Paid to Joe Biden's disastrous economic policies.
Go back to telling us about who the co-conspirators are. I'm wondering, is there a Mike Lindell?
I do want to bring you in and
I was on crack.
It does appear that, Mike Pence did not participate in the January 6th hearings. He refused to testify. He's refused to participate. He's refused to even call January 6th an insurrection. He very likely will have to testify against Donald Trump as I assume, right? He would be a prosecution witness.
It does appear that way from the allegations in the indictment that Pence would be an essential witness on some of the events here.
And so what would be the use
subpoena
victim, right?
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, he is a potential victim of the effort to sort of get him to throw the certification to Trump. But also he's there, or would be there, to talk about all the things that Trump was being told about whether or not he actually lost the election, the legal theory or lack thereof for the grounding for the legal theory, and what Trump himself was saying and doing. And I can't help but notice that, the indictment is pretty light on things that were coming out of Trump's mouth. And so I suspect we're going to be learning more about that as the case unfolds. And it's not necessary for them to lay all that out in detail in this particular document. But people like Pence, the people who were actually with him, physically with him.
I won't pinch his cheek. Pinch his little cheeks. Tell him he's adorable. Doing such a good job there on MSNBC that I cut it off before they even let you speak. No, we gotta get to the good stuff. This is where we're still talking about Rudy Giuliani, but I gotta pop up here. Content warning. Civil suit filed by his former receptionist. Foul comments made by Giuliani revealed in audio transcript back accusers' claims. Former staffer Noelle Dunphy is suing Giuliani for sexual harassment, and she has the receipts to prove it. This year, Rudy Giuliani was hit with a sexual harassment suit by former staffer Noelle Dunphy, now vindicated in her claims via the release of audio transcripts indicating the extent to which they're valid. Filed Tuesday in New York Supreme Court and certified by a court reporting agency, Dunphy tips her case with the documentation of conversations with Giuliani in which he makes lewd comments about her body and propositions. Where's it at? There we go. Come here, big tits. Come here, big tits. Your tits belong to me. Give them to me, indiscernible. I want to claim my tits. I want to claim my tits. I want to claim my tits. These are my tits. Oh yeah? These breasts belong to me. Nobody else can get near these, okay? I don't care if they're flirting or if they give you business cards. These are mine. You got it? Yes. Understand? I'm very fucking possessive. I've gone easy on you. I don't know. I've been easy on you. You're pretty tough on me. I've been easy on you. Give them to me. Maybe. Gross indeed.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Oh, sir, that's the least of the adjectives I could level at you. Fuzzy Simba, you walked in on a transcript from the lawsuit against Rudy Giuliani. Other transcripts, Giuliani. Let me allow me to read on. Every place. Finding a little place in the woods. Get off the airplane in a new city. On the airplane, go right to the hotel. Give me the indiscernible money. On the dining room table. Yeah, we go right ahead wherever on the floor of the living room. As soon as we get in, we don't even make it to the bedroom. Yes, all clothes come off. Oh yes, oh God. Let the doorman wait outside to bring in the luggage. Wait, we need a little more time alone. Yeah, I need a little time alone with my girlfriend here. That's right, with my daughter. That's right, with my little girl. What? That was in the indiscernible. You make me feel like you make me feel better when I'm upset. I hope I make you feel better when you're upset. You do. Indiscernible. So smart, so much potential. Indiscernible. This tremendous attraction to you physically. I can't think about you or I get hard. Even if I think about how smart you are, I'll get hard. I'd never think about a girl being smart. If you told me a girl was smart, I would often think she's not attractive. Indiscernible. Giuliani is a gigantic piece of shit. Other transcripts, he said, I want to own you, calling her my bitch, you're my whore, you're my fucking slut. Of course, fantasizing about her as his little girl.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Yawns, you are disgusting. You are the definition of a pervert. Someone who should not be allowed around little kids, for sure. Probably shouldn't be allowed around anybody. On the list of people who are friends with Donald Trump and shouldn't be allowed around anybody, WWE boss Vince McMahon, hit with federal grand jury subpoena and search warrant, the company revealed. Federal law enforcement agents executed a search warrant on World Wrestling Entertainment boss Vince McMahon and served him with a federal grand jury subpoena last month, the WWE just disclosed. Actions represent an escalation of an ongoing investigation into allegations that McMahon had paid millions of dollars over the years to women after being accused of sexual misconduct. WWE also revealed that McMahon went on medical leave after undergoing major spinal surgery. So to catch you guys up on the drama that's happened, about this time last year, probably a year and a month and some change, Vince McMahon actually retired from the WWE, or right about this time next year or last year. Retired because they forced him out because of multiple investigations of his sexual harassment of women, or sexual assault, multiple allegations of sexual assault. He has an MO. There are multiple stories across years that all match up of women who didn't know each other. So he is guilty. He is 100% guilty. He is a gigantic sleaze bag. So the company forced him out, but because he had set up the stock in some way that he had control over the board, he fired two of the board members that voted to oust him and put himself back on the fucking board, and then installed himself back as president again. That happened in January. So he's been running the company again, and it got worse since he took back over. He came in and they sold, or they're doing a merger with UFC, and they've now become one overarching company. Vince McMahon was still put as he and Dana White are the co-presidents, and then there's some fucking Ari dude that the guy from Entourage was based off of. He's the super president. That's the new company. UFC, WWE together in one big both scumfucks, Vince McMahon and Dana White, and apparently that Ari dude as well. So fuck them all. Fuck the whole company. Federal law enforcement agents executed a search warrant on World Wrestling Entertainment boss Vince McMahon last month and served him with a federal grand jury subpoena. The company just disclosed it today. The actions represent an escalation of an ongoing investigation. Leave began on July 21st. He will remain on medical leave until further notice, but will remain executive chairman. Reached for comment on Wednesday, the company said it believes the subpoena and search warrant are a continuation of the investigation that commenced last summer. WWE has cooperated throughout and fully understands and respects the government's need for a complete process. McMahon, in a separate statement, told CNBC, "I have always denied any intentional wrongdoing and continue to do so. I am confident that the government's investigation will be resolved without any findings of wrongdoing." In April, WWE agreed to merge with rival UFC to form a publicly traded company controlled by Endeavor Group. WWE and Endeavor both expect the deal to close in the second half of this year. The search warrant and subpoena on July 17th came a year after news first broke that federal prosecutors in the SEC were investigating WWE and McMahon over his payment to women, and sure enough, we see him with Donald Trump. Also a man who has been investigated and convicted over his payment to women. WWE noted in... Oh, wait a minute. No. I'm sorry, not convicted yet. That case is pending in Manhattan currently. WWE noted in the SEC filing on Wednesday that it has received... It's hard to keep up with all of Donald Trump's legal troubles. But that was the first of our triple indictment summer, and I don't even think we're done with indictments yet. I still think he gets indicted again within the next few days. Man's wife, Linda, who previously was CEO of WWE, served in former President Donald Trump's cabinet as administrator of the U.S. Small Business Administration. She's also apparently not listened to a lot of wrestling podcasts, and as I understand it, She and Vince are only married in name. They haven't lived together in like 20 fucking years. Vince is indeed seen out with all kinds of women. That's what I'd look like. Fucking my own Pepe Sylvia. Pepe Sylvia's real, dude. They've all been wondering where their mail is. Oh, goddamn. I'm content warning this one just because, like, this is white people shit. I don't even know that there's anything overtly offensive, but it's just offensive to me that white people be acting like this. White cop cries racism. White cop cries racism after he loses top job to another white cop. Michael Sack. Well, I love to kick him right. Oh, wrong one, sorry. I love to kick him.
He's
right
kicking authority in the balls.
A lawsuit alleging he was passed over for a promotion because of his race. White police officer in St. Louis has filed a racial discrimination lawsuit against the city and two black city officials, claiming he was excluded from a promotion to police chief, a position that ended up going to another white cop. Michael Sack filed the suit against the city of St. Louis Mayor Tishana Jones and interim public safety director Daniel Isom in the Eastern District of Missouri Federal Court on Monday, saying his race was a determining factor, motivating factor, or played a part in the city's decision not to promote him, even though he was qualified to be commissioner and chief. Sack wants financial compensation for loss in wages and benefits. Fuck him. According to the lawsuit, Sack began working with the St. Louis Police Department in 1994 and was consistently promoted through the ranks, eventually landing the spot as the lieutenant colonel, the department's second in command, in 2019. In December 2021, the police chief announced his plans to retire, and Sack submitted an application for the role. However, only he and one other officer, who was also white, met the role's qualifications and passed a written test. But it was probably the easiest goddamn test. It's like, what was the test that Trump had to take? Camera, person. Like that was probably the test the stupid ass had to take. However, Sack claims in a suit that Jones told them that she would not pick either one because she only had two white male candidates to choose from, and St. Louis is more diverse than white males. So man, woman, camera, person, TV. That's what his whole case is hinging on. She might have even said it in jest or something. I'm not going to pick either of you because St. Louis is more diverse. And she's right. She ain't wrong. In March of 2020, after learning he got a perfect score on the written test, Sack tried to schedule an interview with Isom, who, as public safety director, would choose the next chief. However, Sack claimed he never got an interview for the next phase in the application process. Man, maybe everybody just said you were a dick. I mean, what's the chances? I hate to judge somebody by the way they look. But what's the chances I'm wrong? That dude is an absolute fucking dick.
He's kicking authority in the
Love
balls.
to kick him in the balls. The next couple of stories get kind of dark. If you don't want to go to a dark place, come back in like 15 minutes. Go to a dark place for a little bit. In Tennessee, children are being fed like gruel if they can't pay their lunch bill, and it's fucked up.
Some parents in Humphreys County are upset over a new lunch policy. It says any students who are behind on lunch charges will get an alternate meal. Until the balance is paid, the students will get a peanut butter or cheese sandwich with milk. During the past school year, district leaders say they were left with $29,000 in outstanding balances from unpaid lunches. Students with free and reduced lunches aren't impacted by this change, but the school is urging parents to read the student parent handbook for more information on this alternate meal policy. It's a cooler start.
I love how they gave that 30 seconds. I'm just flabbergasted. Why feed the kids? Why are we even charging kids for food at school? If a kid want to eat, kids should eat. Does that not seem like a thing to you guys? I don't give it. What the fuck? What the fuck is? I just don't understand it. How is that just not the most obvious thing? We know for a fact that kids can't learn on an empty stomach. Feed the fucking kids. Some of these kids may not be getting a lot of food at home. So make sure the kids get a hearty meal at school, please. Why is that so? It's shit like that makes me think we're not going to make it. As a society, I mean. That we're not going to make it as a society. From school lunches to school shootings. God damn, that was a horrible segue. I shouldn't have done that. That one was bad. Give yet another content warning. I'm already hungry, Tones. You made me hungry. I want a big salad. I want to be like Elaine. I want a big salad.
And this is less than 2 feet. That's the human brain. This hard shell called this.
He's doing it. That's your brain on drugs or some shit. What the fuck? That's the last time I saw somebody compare an egg to a brain. This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. And shit, that's so long ago. You got to be kind of old to remember that. You probably have to be like 35 or up to remember those goddamn commercials. That was when I was a youngin'. This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. Hell yeah, big piece of meat. That would go well with this egg this dude just fucking... Here's a frying pan. Can I interest you in an egg in these trying times?
And this is less than 2 feet. That's the human brain. This hard shell called the skull. This skull protects the brain from external injuries. I taught classes in multicultural issues and psychological testing.
You also worked as a...
When I interviewed Ethan and just looked at his profile, at his high level of...
This is psychologist Colin King.
Isolation, lack of parental support, lack of guidance, lack of resources. So psychologically and socially, he can be considered a feral child. Especially the final factor.
A feral child?
Without parole from Mr. Peterson.
Right, so Dr. Not to kill himself. Have you ever seen that before?
Ethan is the only mass shooter that I've interviewed, so I can't. That's it. That's my only.
This dude seems extremely unqualified. He just said that he's the only mass shooter he's ever interviewed.
Here's a child who...
I mean, this is the United States. If you're a psychologist, you haven't interviewed like 5 mass shooters. You ain't really nobody in your field, are you? They're fucking dime a dozen out there, man. That's like #1 case study in the U.S.
was just trying to make sense of his inner world. He couldn't get help from his parents, from the home system.
Stone's pulling out the Bill Hicks, one of my idols.
He couldn't get to a doctor.
Prosecutors say Crumley should spend the rest of his life behind bars, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. But also, it's an emotional reaction to like the testimony that you're getting ready to hear. If you're capable of doing this kind of carnage, can you be rehabilitated? Can you be rehabilitated in a United States prison or mental institution? And I have my doubts on that one, so I don't know what the right answer is. And I content warning indeed, this is where it gets graphic.
What did you do after that?
I went out with him.
Okay, and what did he tell you to do anything?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. But to go over, he kind of signaled me to go over by Justin's body.
So let's talk about that. What did you see when you came out of the stall?
Justin's body in a pool of blood.
Was he laying face up or face down?
I don't remember exactly.
Okay. Do you remember where that blood was in relation to his body?
Around his head.
Okay. And the shooter tells you to do what?
Kind of signals me to go over by by his body.
And what did you do?
When he moved the gun away from his side, kind of, I ran behind his back and out the door.
Okay. Why did you do that?
Because I think when I saw his body, I realized that if I stayed, I was gonna die.
That's horrific. I know, but also, Chanley's just a kid, or Chambley. That's the case where the parents are incarcerated. Battle of Possum! We're having a good vacation. We were watching it's a sentencing hearing for the school shooter. Ethan Chambley? Is that his name? In Michigan? Oxford High School in Michigan. Name here. Something Chambley. I wanted to call him Jacob Chambley, but that's me getting him confused with the QAnon shaman that we watched the interview of earlier. I don't even remember the name of this dude. It's just such a It's such a common thing in the United States that I can't even keep up with the fucking names of all the mass shooters. This is was it Tree of Life Synagogue in Pennsylvania? The mass shooting at the Jewish Center in Pennsylvania. Trial has ended.
Statements are coming in now by the dozens into our newsroom. One person I know so many people wanted to hear from in light of this verdict is Rabbi Jeffrey Myers of Tree of Life. He was leading the congregation
Sentenced to death.
on the day of the shooting. He, of course, survived, released a statement that said, quote, "Today's decision and the pending sentences on non-capital crimes mark the closing of an emotional, months-long trial. In the years we have spent waiting for this trial to take place, many of us have been stuck in neutral. It was a challenge to move forward with the looming specter of a murder trial. Now that the trial is nearly over and the jury has recommended a death sentence, it is my hope that we can begin to heal and move forward. As we do, I have my faith bolstered by the embrace and respect with which my community has been treated by our government and our fellow citizens. For this and the seriousness with which the jury took its duty, I remain forever grateful."
We have more reaction coming in. This statement from the family of the couple, Bernice and Sylvan Simon. They released this statement just after this verdict in the sentencing phase was read. They say this, quote, "It is with great appreciation and respect that the family of Bernice..."
This motherfucker says this, and he actually has unique kid names. Coming in here and pulling that. Did you actually take that into consideration? You sick fuck. Also, that's my best friend, so I can say that to him.
Sylvan Simon wholeheartedly expresses our extreme gratitude to the entire jury for their service during this very long and arduous trial. In the course of performing their civic duty, they unselfishly endured great personal sacrifice, time away from family, friends, and work, as well as being disconnected from many everyday activities. They go on to say this: the jury patiently and very attentively listened to all of the testimony and scrutinized the voluminous amount of evidence presented throughout the entire trial.
Well, I mean, once again, they had him dead to rights.
And decisions.
Also getting reaction now this afternoon from the American Jewish Committee. They say, quote, "As we collectively process the jury's decision today, what should always be top of mind is the memory of the 11 people murdered in a synagogue while at prayer by a cold-blooded hater of Jews. Ultimately, what is of most significance is not how the shooter will spend the end of his life, but the fact that the U.S. government pursued this case with vigor and demonstrated that such crimes will not be excused or minimized."
As has been the case during the trial, the 1027 Healing Partnership has a hotline available for anyone who may need to speak with a counselor as they digest.
Just to be clear, let's go through the details. The man who gunned down 11 worshipers at the Pittsburgh Tree of Life Synagogue in 2018, the deadliest anti-Semitic attack in U.S. history, was sentenced to death. The man's name is Robert Bowers. He's 50 years old, found guilty on 63 criminal counts in June, including 11 counts each of obstruction of free exercise of religion, resulting in death, and hate crimes resulting in death. The judge will formally impose the sentence later after a federal jury made the death sentence recommendation on Wednesday. Bowers was found eligible for the death penalty on July 13th when jurors decided that he intended to kill. Substantial planning went into the attack and that he targeted the vulnerable. The first death sentence to be imposed during President Joe Biden's administration.
Come on, man.
I'm usually pretty against the death penalty. I kind of think cases like this, that's probably like where it's warranted. I don't know. Until we come up with a more just system, I am for the abolishment of the death penalty. We might be coming up on the abolishment of the writers and actors strike. They're going to be meeting on Friday. We might be getting some entertainment come this fall.
There is movement this hour on the writers' strike that hit pause on some of your favorite movies and TV shows. The Writers Guild of America says its representatives will be meeting Friday with the association that represents movie and TV studios. The studios are under increasing pressure to get productions back on schedule. The Actors Guild is also on strike for a better contract, and at this moment, Hollywood is still effectively shut down. CNBC's Sarah Whitten joins us now. Sarah, why are these negotiations restarting right now?
Yeah, so what we're seeing is talks about talking. So this meeting is really a vibe check for both sides to sort of see, where do we stand? How far apart do we stand? And they're coming at a time when the industry is, lots of...
What's this woman doing stealing Sparkle's look?
The actors calling out the producers. We have the producers
Is she wearing... Oh my God, look at all the Funkos behind her. She probably is wearing pink fucking Crocs.
That they normally would get because the actors cannot go out and promote them by the strike rules.
So, Sarah, Barbie and Oppenheimer, both major hits for studios. They've really been the talk of the summer, to say the least. Everything seems to be pink these days. AMC Theaters says July 21st to July 27th was the company's best week ever in its 103-year history. But after this summer, the release schedule is looking pretty thin. How is this continued strike going to impact theaters, big and small, across the country?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Barbie and Oppenheimer got their marketing in right before the strike. Everyone was very excited for them. They're going to fuel ticket sales for the rest of the summer. But you're right, things do kind of slow down as you get into August and September, even October. There are some, good movies coming out, but they're not going to be the blockbuster hits that you're going to see in November. Right now, the slate is pretty much where it's going to be. There are a few movies kind of talking about how the impact of promotion might impact if they should come out or if they should wait a little while, but the real disruption is going to come in 2024, and that's because there are movies that still need reshoots, movies that haven't finished shooting, and there are movies that haven't been finished being written. So that's where you're going to see the disruption on the slate.
All right, CNBC's Sarah Whitten, thank you so much for breaking all of that down. We appreciate it.
Sparkles wannabe over here. Shut up, Lester. Every fucking night. I got Lester Holt all up my shit. Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Lester. You really didn't do anything wrong. I just keep hearing you every night. That's the only thing. It's just the repetitive. Like, can you guys, rotate? Switch which back card you have. You can do like 7 or 8 different ones. Why have the same one? Why, Lester? Stop giving me Lester every time. You got Hoda. Give me Hoda. Give me Al Roca. I'm sorry. I'm too high for this shit, maybe? I'm too high for this old guy's shit. I almost don't even want to watch him. Content warning for transphobia from this old crusty fuck. Somebody dug up. Been irrelevant for fucking years. Richard Dawkins has a podcast now. And what's with the Tommy Bahama shirt? Let's have Tommy Bahama shirts and smoke some crack. What the fuck? That's what goddamn Richard Dawkins been into.
I was on crack.
Right.
Sex really is binary, there's no question about it. You're either male or female, and it's absolutely clear. You can do it on gamete size, you can do it on chromosomes. To me, as a biologist, distinctly weird.
7 different combinations of the X and Y chromosome. You're a biologist, you know this.
People can simply declare, I am a woman, though I have a penis. Helen, what do you think lies behind this?
Let me tell you a story. One time, I was seeing this trans girl. I was over at her apartment, and she made me play It wasn't D&D. It might have been Magic. It was one of the big ones. I'd heard of it. Like Magic the Gathering or something. I'd never played a tabletop, a card game, whatever the fuck. There's a meme that's going around, like if you ever like get invited to play some sort of tabletop game with a trans woman, don't do it. Like it's not an invitation to go have sex with her. You're really going to play that game all fucking night. It's true. It's absolutely, I can confirm that's true. So, like, she goes and uses the bathroom at some point in time during the night, and her roommate goes in the bathroom somehow and sees her little, like, girl dick, and she's like, oh my god, that's the girliest dick I've ever seen. And that's trans women. Girl dick. Girl dick is a thing. Girl dick is different than a man's dick. Girl dick is a thing, Richard Dawkins.
I am a woman, though I have a penis. Helen, what do you think lies behind this odd distortion of reality?
I would say that when I started to write about it first, I
Who's this bigot?
realised that this wasn't treated the same way as anything else. Like just asking very obvious questions, like, don't you think that if we allow people to self-identify their sex, this will lead to, for example, destroying women's sports or putting rapists in women's jails?
No. I don't, ma'am. I mean, like, aren't there already rapists in women's jails? Because it's jail?
People would turn this back on me and say, you think that trans people are predators. You're a bigot. What
yes,
we were
you're a
talking
bigot.
about here was an intensely linguistic movement. Like, there isn't a sense in which a man can become a woman, except linguistically. Like, yes, okay, he can have operations. Most trans people don't have any operations, don't take any medicine. But that doesn't change your sex.
I would say most trans people actually do take medications. And the ones that don't take medication, that's probably because they don't have access to health care, which is something that we are fighting for them. That lack of access to health care, that's a kicker there, isn't it? One more from dumbass Dawkins.
I'm perfectly happy to address a trans person by their preferred name and preferred pronouns. I think it's just a matter of politeness, really. What I object to is the...
Well, okay, that, good. Thank you. Just a matter of politeness. Abso-fucking-lutely. At least we can agree on that. Why'd you have to put a but in there? Why is this... End it there, my friend. What, that like fucking 9 seconds, great statement. Why is there 37 more seconds to this video?
Is the insistence that I am a woman. I mean, you're not a woman. I'm perfectly prepared to call you she, if you like. But to say I am a woman is a debauching of language, and that's where I...
Why? Language is malleable, sir. Like there's not some stone tablet that God handed down and said this is what a fucking woman is. It's just us trying to describe a naturally occurring phenomenon. And there's like shit that don't fit in your box, in your binary. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, the old trite fucking shit that they always come back with is that like, oh, it's just an abnormality. Oh, they're just a small percentage of people. You can't deny that they exist, and they prove that sex is a spectrum. Sex is a spectrum. That like gender is a whole other box of worms, and that is completely fucking up for grabs because it's fucking completely imaginary. Biological sex itself is a spectrum, and the existence of people with both sex organs, no sex organs, everything in between, Dicks so small that doctors think they're clits, and clits so big that doctors think they're dicks. People get misgendered at birth. Yeah, it's a small percentage of the population. Like 3 to 4 or 5% of the population. Truly like this intersex. But they fucking count and they prove it. And then like you see everybody, you see tomboys, you see fucking feminine men, you see everything along a spectrum. It's so goddamn obvious. Not even just a spectrum, but it's like a goddamn color wheel that goes every fucking different direction. And that's the beauty of fucking life, dude. You're a biologist.
Draw the line.
I've become much more hardline on this, and I would like...
Why?
I would have started where you are. But what I've learned is that somebody who expects to be called she also expects the words woman and female, and mother, and sister, and daughter. And it's very hard, if you give away sexed language, to explain why this person cannot in all circumstances be treated as a woman.
It's very hard to explain it because you're just being dumb. And both of you, as educated individuals, should know what gender dysphoria is, and you should know what the DSM diagnosis, and like the treatment for gender dysphoria is, and you should be accepting of the science. It's not hard at all. What is wrong with these crusty? One of the things, like, he's doing a podcast. Like, who is he trying to appeal to? You would think somebody like me that had read his books years ago. He definitely looks like somebody I don't want to be around. What is the deal with that shirt? I would not wear that shirt. I said it was a Tommy Bahama shirt. They gotta smoke some crack and wear their Tommy Bahama shirts. Oh God, here we go. This is what everybody's been waiting for. Fellas, are you having trouble with women? Are you having trouble with women? I just want some tips on how to turn the women on.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Want to learn how to live in sexual anarchy. Jordan Peterson is going to tell all of us what turns women on.
What,
women like verbal pornography.
Well,
It's true. It's true.
Meaning
so
dirty talk?
There's a typical pornographic stories, but not visual. Like men are pornographic visually, women are pornographic semantically. There's a big literature.
You want to be talked dirty too.
Okay.
Well, there's a classic story. It's the story of every Harlequin romance, and there are pornographic Harlequin romances. And
you're saved by a handsome.
Well, that's part of it. It's 50 Shades of Grey, right? Which is the biggest selling novel ever. Right. Okay. So
I believe directed by a woman, written by a woman, and certainly enjoyed by women.
Yes. Right at the height of Me Too, by the way.
Yes, well, the first one may. Me Too.
The
yes,
book,
correct. Yes.
Yeah. So that was very interesting. Okay, so here's the plot. It's Beauty and the Beast. So the Google engineers figured this out because they looked at billions of internet searches.
Which one? The one with Ron Perlman, because he's awfully based.
For pornographic material from women, and they analyzed the narrative.
Really?
Yeah. It's so
How do
cool.
you know that?
There's a book called A Billion Wicked Thoughts that the Google engineers wrote.
Oh.
Yeah, and Google engineers make great psychologists because they're too stupid to be politically correct. So they just tell you what's actually true, and they don't even know that there's something wrong with it. It's like, this is just what...
John, what's up, my friend?
Right. They're nerds.
Yeah. So they just think, this is what the data shows. You got a problem with that? Like, how would anyone have a problem with that? Because they're engineers, right? Okay, so there's 5 male categories that are hyper attractive.
Oh, Battle Opossum. No, my friend. Do you know about Michaela Peterson? Beef daughter. Because I will blow your mind. Oh, and she dated Andrew Tate at one point in time. So Michaela Peterson is he may have had sex, but he's not been laid. No, I think a lot of people would consider Michaela Peterson attractive. That's the sad part, is how did and apparently she's still on her all beef diet. This is Jordan Peterson's daughter. That's not. That is. Here she is with Andrew Tate. She is not a likable person, but she has at times called Jordan Peterson out for being a shithead. So there is that. That was not a euphemism for taking dick. She's literally on the carnivore diet or whatever the fuck, and she put Jordan Peterson on it. I think they're both still on it. That's how she earned the nickname Beef Daughter.
On the pornographic front to women: vampires, werewolves, pirates, surgeons, and billionaires. Well, hey, that's right, man. So, I can't help this. This is just how it is. And so
if you were a billionaire pirate with a medical degree, you could fucking kill it out there.
You'd be like, yeah.
Billionaire pirate vampire.
Absolutely. Okay, so
with
now
a medical
the next
degree.
part of it is, a lot of the build-up is foreplay. So what happens is that the billionaire pirate werewolf vampire finds this girl who has kind of a secret beauty, right? And they have a very fractious...
A secret beauty, yes.
Yeah, well, it's like a Hollywood librarian.
Well, I mean,
she's
love
not
that.
beautiful with her
right,
glasses
because
on.
that covers anybody who's reading it.
Okay, how high is Bill Maher? Because what Jordan Peterson is saying isn't funny.
To thinking who's not very attractive, they could think, well, I have a secret beauty.
Exactly.
It weighs a ton, but it's secret.
Okay, now they have a fractious relationship, right? Because he's attracted to all sorts of other women, and there's quite a bit of tension and fighting. But eventually, she tames him with her secret beauty. And then that's when the wild sex starts.
Not just her secret beauty, but her awesome personality.
Yeah.
Because, well.
So that's the female pornographic pattern, by the way. Yeah. And it's verbal.
But come on. Not as many women read Harlequin romances as men view pornography.
So, if I have this straight, talk dirty to women and pretend you're a surgeon, a pirate, a vampire, a werewolf, a lawyer, or a billionaire. Did I get that correct?
All men look at pornography. I don't think all women do that. I think women are a little more...
I think most do.
I don't know. I wouldn't know how to quantify the comparison exactly, but believe me, there's 50 shades.
I would say that women view pornography less than men, but I would say that the number is not as steep a decline as prudes like these motherfuckers would guess. I'd say these motherfuckers can't even comprehend that women go home and like fuck the shit out of themselves with giant dildos and like fucking vibrators and shit, and will watch porn for hours and come multiple times. Some of them, not all. That idea that a woman could pleasure herself probably like never even like crosses the mind of either of these fucks.
Shades of Grey is a great example.
Yes.
Plenty of people.
No. Women, I mean, look, women are in a bind now because like the politics tells them to say one thing, especially about sex.
We're definitely going to get in trouble here,
I don't care.
Trouble's coming for sure.
If either one of us cared, would we be this far along? All you got to, what you have to do is lean in. I mean, that's what we both do. It's like, no,
we'll see
I'm going
who
to trust
cancels
that there
who.
are this certain percentage, hopefully more than the 3% psychos.
Yeah, hopefully.
Who are sane people who are, hey.
I don't know that Bill Maher is the same person, to be honest with you. Once upon a time, I came across this thing called Christian Pirate Radio on Facebook. Pirate Radio, those words don't go together. But instead of like clicking on it to find out what it was, I thought it was more fun to come up with my own ideas about it. Maybe their catchphrase was "Arg men." Perhaps instead of making you walk the plank, they nail you to it. Pulled some stand-up out on you. I did some material. Are you high, Battle Opossum? Are you too high to be able to read? Oh, you're on the phone. It's like too small for you or something. Or is definitely not sane, indeed. All right, let's go to the Young Turks. Cenk Uygur made a massive announcement. Cenk makes a massive announcement about the Young Turks on a far-right podcast. I find that curious. That's the very first thing that strikes me, is that Cenk went on a far-right podcast to make a massive announcement. I don't exactly know, PP Girl. I started watching this video, but then Trump got indicted. Like, it happened as I was watching this video. So, this got turned off. So I'm going to watch it now with you guys. Cenk makes a massive announcement about the Young Turks.
Where are you going with your announcement?
Look, I'm declaring Young Turks mainstream progressive. And so that's kind of bold because it's a made-up category. And when I say it, people...
And he went on a far-right...
different faction. And they'll say...
He went on a far-right podcast to proclaim that he was mainstream progressive.
Say it, people all over the internet hate me, right? In every different faction. And they'll say, oh, who's Cenk Uygur to make up mainstream progressive? Oh, I'm not going to follow that. Nobody's going to follow that. Well, I'm planting a flag. TYT is Homo Progressives. That's the whole network. You're a leftist. You're mainstream progressive. You're a moderate Democrat. No problem. Everybody come to TYT, okay? Homo Progressives. But Young Turks, the flagship show that Anna and I do, we're mainstream progressive. Because I'm sorry, but I don't agree with the leftists. I don't agree with the radical left, right? So I don't agree with the establishment, and I don't agree with those guys. So we've got to have a home for us. And if you brought me a mainstream progressive that doesn't have some of the radical positions you guys are worried about, we win, okay? But I tried. I asked a lot of people.
What radical position?
You know, one that thing that people are worried about when I ask progressives about running, they all say the same thing. Mainstream media. Mainstream media will bury us. They will try to destroy our lives. In the old days, they did assassinations. Now they do character assassinations.
We saw that. They did that with your favorite guy, Trump. They did that for God knows how many years, right?
Now, look,
he is the ultimate character assassination guy.
Big time. Yeah,
he's guilty.
So yes, definitely they character assassinated him. But he reminds me of the Jeff Zucker quote as to why they fired him at CNN. He had the relationship internally. He's like, I loaded a gun and handed it to him, and they shot me with it, right? Trump is loading gun after gun. Here, I'll break this law. I'll break this law. I'll take the documents home. Blah, blah, blah. And he's handing loaded gun after loaded gun to the
Can't be character assassination if it's true.
If Trump is as bad as I think he is, would I want to run a super weak old man who doesn't even want to campaign against him?
Yeah.
A guy whose popularity is oftentimes in the 30s. Man. Here's a giant lie of the mainstream media. Only Joe Biden can beat Donald Trump. Wait, why? First of all, tons of people can beat Donald Trump. Donald Trump's in the 30s in approval rating. Jim Jablowski can beat Donald Trump. The only people who can't beat Donald Trump are establishment Democrats who are deeply unpopular because they're fakes and they're phonies, right?
Significantly less, isn't there, PP girl?
He beat him by 43,000 votes in 3 swing states. It doesn't matter
like
how much
30
he won the popular
seconds.
vote by. The Electoral College, he only won by the skin of his teeth, and he was 15 points higher at that point. The Democrats are walking into a slaughter with their eyes wide open and saying, I would rather lose to Trump than have a progressive as our candidate.
So let's stay on this. So number one, 3 announcements. You're not running. 2, Young Turks is now the progressive mainstream media, is what you're calling it. Is that fair, what I said?
Mainstream progressive.
Mainstream progressive. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
mainstream progressive. And 3, Justice is coming. Put the link down. The first book you've ever
He
read.
actually thought about running for president.
So if some people want to order his book, we're going to put the link below.
One favor, just define progressive, and then at the same time, you said you weren't a fan of the woke left. Make that distinction.
Okay, great question.
Up
So number
yours,
one,
woke
mainstream progressive
pluralists.
believes in all of Bernie
We'll
Sanders'
see who
economic policies.
cancels
So
who.
paid family leave, higher minimum wage, Medicare for all, end of gerrymandering, end of bribery in politics, corporate cash, etc. Those are all incredibly popular positions. 2/3 of the country wants all of that, okay? But you mentioned AOC. I wouldn't advise AOC to run. Some of her positions are too radical left.
And the world's going to end. So she said the world's going to end. So why even run if the world's going to end?
Well, that's a different question.
Yeah.
That's about climate change, and we could come back to that. But like she went on air.
She also didn't say that.
70% of the country agrees with us. They should be legal in the first 2 trimesters, right? And she starts referring to mothers as birthing persons. I'm like, what are you doing? You know how many people want to refer to moms as birthing persons? 2%.
Yeah, and your girl Anna caught some heat over that.
Yeah, and so we drew the line and said, no, we're not going to call moms people with uteruses. And they're like, you're doing that out of nowhere. You're attacking us. No, brothers and sisters, if you're going to run against Biden, you're going to run to try to win the country over. Don't go to the 2% position. Go to the 70% position.
But here's the thing: is AOC lives in, she represents the Bronx, a diverse community, and she's literally talking about her constituents. So she probably should say birthing person, because that is there are probably the chances of the Bronx having numerous people who consider themselves non-binary is pretty fucking good, I would assume. So it's just being polite. Like, Richard Dawkins said it. Dustin, good evening. Richard Dawkins said it. Just being polite. That's all it is. Just do it out of politeness. It's so simple.
Oh, many progressive policies are sitting right there at 70%. Run on those. But she can't help herself. So she's going to run on things like birthing person and... I mean, look, some on the left.
And she's not running. Oh my God. But she's not running on things like birthing person. Why is he doing that? That's absurd. He should know better. I'm sorry. That is fucking shit, Jank.
I'm sorry, guys. I love you. And I do. They're on our network and they're good people and they mean well. But that's not so. Nobody believes in that, right? So
do they understand the fallacy of their argument? Do they truly understand?
No.
You know what a fallacy is, you dipshit?
I mean, look, they had this debate on a show with a right-winger and a left-winger. Brianna Joy Gray was on the left, and she's making the argument against, for abolishing prisons. Yeah. And the right-wing guy, who I don't agree with normally at all, he's like, yes, but if I hit somebody in the face with a brick, I go to prison, right? And she's like, no. I'm like,
what the
come
hell?
on,
And what was the reason for that?
Because prisons are awful. That's true. Prisons are awful. That's why we should reform them. Like, for example, my whole life, everybody's like, oh, yeah, you get raped in prison. I'm like, why is that? Oh, yeah. Like, we should fix that.
Comes with the sentence.
Right. Do you know that
here's your jumpsuit and then some lube. Best of luck.
That's a violation of the Fourth Amendment.
Women because of prisons. That's insane.
No, that's the Fifth Amendment, isn't it?
From soaps to gel. Like
yeah.
That's scientific.
So
Can
anyway,
you pull up
So they're not wrong that prisons are awful and we should reform them. And Norway's the better model, even though it drives me crazy because I kind of like vengeance a little bit. But Norway brings down recidivism so much more than we do.
What's their model?
But they're saying, no, we get rid of them, and eventually
they don't even have
we have
life
them on
sentence.
the show. We asked 1,000 times, and then what? And they talk about like restorative justice. Oh, you can do restorative justice. You can for a lot of people, right? That took the wrong turn. But some folks just are born different.
This guy
They
just
don't
murdered
care.
4 people. What do you want to do with this guy?
Yeah, I'm not letting him out.
Let
By
him
the
hang out?
way, if you ask the same exact folks on the left,
Seriously, clinically, I hate this dude. I hate this
abolishing prisons.
Patrick Bet
Why
David.
is Trump going to prison? Why is white collar criminals
what do
going
they
to
say
prison?
to that?
They
No,
have
they
no
want
answer.
Trump to go to Alcatraz. Like they want to put him on an island, Alcatraz,
course.
with Sean Connery.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to make
Yes,
it out to be like a huge.
Let's make fucking Trump tackle the Rock. He wouldn't survive.
Part of the left. They're a tiny percentage of the left,
But
right?
they get the but,
But
we
they
all
get
know
the
they
press.
make the
Yep, I'm know what I am into though. Sorry, I didn't pick it out yet. I don't even know. I don't even know what this fucker's doing over here. On your 5th joint of the stream. I mean, I can't say much. How many bongs did I go through? Like 3 and some dabs. I'm definitely hungry. I don't know how this cat got itself in this situation. Gorgeous fucking cat. Oh, what in the fuck is it even trying to do? Where you want to go, kitty? Where you going, baby? There you go. Oh, you didn't stop at the dispensary yet? Figured you'd be smoking the good shit. I still suggest going through Bristol. I think you can even I think you can even take a shortcut. Go back to your home. Thing. Look at this like fat ass tail. Like I don't even know how he got himself into this position. Oh, don't forget guys, no stream tomorrow night. Stream starts at 2:45 in the afternoon. We're going to be doing the Trump arraignment. Gonna be some door coverage. Gonna get some nice door shots. Door action in the afternoon. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's alright to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin. We'll see you tomorrow on the Troll Patrol. Live.